Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to the Spirit Tarot YouTube channel. If you are new, welcome back. If you're a returning viewer, I'm Rin, and today's video is a how-to video where I'm going to teach you some ways that you can use dice for divination or as part of your divination practice. I do have a PDF available on my Etsy shop that will have everything I'm covering in today's video, plus a couple more ways that you can use dice for divination. So I will link that in the description box below. I think this video and the PDF together are a really good resource if you are wanting to learn to use dice as part of your divination practice. Now, today we're going to be looking at using dice all on their own, but I, generally speaking, most times use the dice in combination with some other type of reading, be that tarot, oracle. I might actually try using the dice in conjunction with my tea leaf readings as well. That's something I haven't done as of yet, but I think that sounds like a really fun idea. I do use dice all the time in with tarot cards and oracle cards. They work really well together. They can be a really nice complement to your tarot reading, especially like if you're doing a bigger spread and you're like, does this mean this or does this mean that? And you just pick one of those options and then you do a yes/no dice roll to see if you're on the right path. So that can be one way that you use dice in conjunction with tarot. Before I dive into the different methods, and I will have chapters in this video so that if you want to come back and look at things and you're looking for one of the specific methods for reading dice, you can just go straight to those. So it's really, I want it to be really user friendly for if it's something you want to come back to watch again, to, review how to do a certain method with the dice or how to use a certain type of dice. But before we dive into that, I just want to remind all of you that you can book readings with me through my Etsy shop or through my website. My website, you can also book one-on-one personal mentorships with me, as well as Reiki and EFT sessions. And I do also have my merch shop, and in the merch shop, I do have charity items. Anything with my Hex the Patriarchy design, like this sticker. I have 2 different types of t-shirts and a notebook. All proceeds from those items go to the Planned Parenthood Action Fund. So if that's a cause that you would like to support, go check out the Hex the Patriarchy merch in my merch shop. These stickers are amazing. I love them. You can see that they're quite a nice sized sticker. All right. That said, let's dive into yes/no questions first. All right, my lovelies, starting off with a basic yes/no method for reading the dice. Now, if you have followed me for a while or you've been in my Etsy shop, you know that from time to time I offer yes/no dice readings on there. That method that I use personally whenever I do a dice divination for just a yes/no is in the printable PDF that is available at my Etsy shop. But this is just a general way. The way that I have in the PDF, the way that I normally do them, is a way that I came up with and created on my own. It's based off of a yes/no system for the tarot, and I adapted that to the dice. But this is a standard fare, common usage of dice for yes/no questions that you can find commonly in the divination community. So for this, you're going to need 2 D6, which is just, if you play D&D or another tabletop game, then you're probably used to referring to dice as D and then whatever number of sides they have. So if I say at any point in time D and then a number, when I'm talking about what type of die you need, D just means dice or die, and the number is the number of sides that particular die needs to have. So we are using 6-sided dice, D6, for this method. You will need 2 of them. These are my Oogie Boogie dice from Hot Topic. I love them. They're so festive, especially since we're getting close to spooky season. But to do a yes/no question with 2 D6, All you're going to do is shake the dice in your hand, or if you have a dice roller or a dice cup that you want to use, but you're going to shake the dice up while you concentrate on your question. Then you're just going to roll them out. So in this particular case, we got a 1 and a 5. You will add up all of the dots, all of the pips on the dice. And then in this case, we got a 6. Any even number is a yes. Any odd number is a no to your question. Now, there is no discernment, really. There's no shades of gray with this method. You either get a yes or a no. And those of you who have been around the divination community know that this is a point of contention when it comes to yes-no questions. One of the reasons why a lot of readers will say don't ask yes-no questions. Again, if you follow me, you know that my feeling on yes-no questions are that there are times and places where they're appropriate. Like if you're just checking your intuition to see if you're on the right path, you're just sort of getting confirmation. Or if you're asking a series of yes-no questions in order to sort of give you a direction to dive into things deeper, to get the bigger overarching question you need to ask, or the area you need to look in for the information you need. So I think that yes-no questions do have their place. Now, if you roll these, and again, we got another even number, so it's another yes. But if you get an odd number, it's a no. There we go. Now we got a 5. So a 5, whatever you asked would be a no. This method is really that simple. Most dice divination is very straightforward. Now, my method for yes-nos only uses 1d6, and it allows for shades of gray. It allows for maybes, contingencies. Ask again, basically, is one of the options. So all of that is in my PDF, but the standard method that you'll see out there for answering yes-no questions with dice is 2d6, and if you get an odd number, it's a no, and if you get an even number, then it is a yes. And it's really just as simple as that. And this is a great method too, because chances are you have some board games or something laying around your house that you can just grab 2d6 out of, and there you go. You can start using dice for divination. Okay, so this method is touted as a Victorian era method for dice divination. The sources I learned from say that this is an actual historical way that they would read dice in the Victorian era. However, I was not able to find other resources that could confirm this. So I say kind of take that with a grain of salt. It may or may not be an actual historical Victorian era method for reading dice. It's still fun. I don't use it as is. I don't use it the way that I learned it. I use it slightly differently. I've come up with my own meanings, and if you're interested in that, I do have my system in my PDF that you can get from my Etsy shop, and you can also see me use that method. There's a yes-no video that I did that you can see this teacup in the thumbnail for that video, where I actually used my own method for reading the dice like this in that particular one. But I'm going to show you today what is supposed to be the historically accurate Victorian era dice reading method. So for this, you can use 2 or 3 6-sided dice. I'm going to be using 2 because I have this beautiful little set of bone dice that a friend gifted me. I love them so much, and they are what I use when I use this method. You do need a cup and saucer. You don't have to, but that is the way the method is taught. That is supposedly the way it was done in the Victorian era. If you don't have a cup and saucer, you can roll the dice with your hand instead of having the cup. You'll just need to designate a casting area on the surface that you're casting on if you're not using a cup and saucer. It's perfectly okay. Now, what you will do, no matter whether you are using 2d6 or 3d6, what you're going to do is you're going to roll the dice. You'll only use the dice that actually land on your saucer for the reading. So if anything flies off the saucer onto the surrounding table, you're going to ignore it. But you will add up all the pips on your dice. And then if you get a double digit, be that 10 through whatever number, depending on how many dice you're using, you will add those together to reduce them down to a single digit. And I will show you how to do that as we actually roll out some dice. But here is the list. You need a number from 1 through 9 is what you're looking for, because here is the list of meanings for this Victorian casting. So number 1, if you get just a number 1, it's sorrow. 2 is joy. 3 is a gift. 4 is new love. 5, silver is coming your way. 6, gold is coming your way. 7, someone will tell you a secret. 8, 3 good things will happen to you. 9, your true love is indeed true. So just from hearing those meanings, you may see why this is not something that I feel is really useful in our modern times as far as those particular meanings go. And that's why I have meanings of my own that I have in my PDF. And if you didn't get those all written down, don't worry, those are in the PDF as well if you want to grab it. But let me actually show you how we do this, what it looks like. So you'll just shake your cup with your dice in it, whether you're using 2 or 3, and when you're ready, you can either do a general reading or you can ask a question, and you'll focus on that intent as you are shaking your dice around, and then you'll roll them out onto your saucer. Now, we had a jumper this time, so we completely ignore this die. I'll just put that one back in the cup. And so we wound up with a 2. So a 2 would mean, whether we're asking a question or we're doing a general, the answer is joy. Now, let's put that back in there and see what we get this time. This time, we got a 6 and a 5, which adds up to 11. And we need to have a number between 1 and 9, so we'll add the 1 and the 1 together, get 2, and again, we have joy. So apparently today's message is really about joy. And then, excuse me, put them back in just to see what we get one more time. So there we got a 3 and a 5. And so 5's message is silver is coming your way. Now, if you wanted to use a third D6, you would still just add up whatever pips show, but you're still going to make sure that you get a number between 1 and 9 if you are using 2 or 3 dice. You want to reduce down to 1 through 9 and use those meanings. So that's how you do the Victorian casting method. I do like the method itself. I'm just not really keen on those meanings. You can use them absolutely if they resonate with you and you want to do something really historical. Say you're hosting a Victorian tea party and you want to break this out as something fun to do at the party, you could absolutely use those meanings. Keep it very traditional and historical if the assertions that this is the historical method are correct. But you could absolutely do that. And like I said, if you're looking for something that you like this method, but you want a slightly alternative way with more modern meanings, I do have that for you. So this particular method is Astro Dice, and it is the one method in here that does require a very specialized set of dice. Astro Dice come in a set of 3. They are 3 12-sided die. This right here happens to be my favorite set, but it doesn't show up well on camera, so we're going to put it to the side. And we're going to look at these ones because they do show up pretty well on camera. But you have one die that is numbered 1 through 12. That's the astrological houses. Then we have a die that has the symbols of the heavenly bodies on it, including the north and south nodes. And then we have a 12-sided die that has the 12 signs of the zodiac on it. Now, when you are doing this method, first of all, it really does help if you have some astrology knowledge. If you don't, well then check out my PDF because it has cheat sheets for you. And it's a great way to learn more about astrology and use dice at the same time. But I like to ask questions or have at least a general area of life that I'm looking at. So a lot of times I will use these in addition to cards and things when I'm doing a reading, and then I will add the Astro Dice as sort of additional information on the same topic. I also really like to use these for like week ahead, month ahead readings. I really like them for that. But you can use them however you like, just a general message. You could ask a specific question. You can use them for month or week ahead, whatever fits your style. So you're just going to roll them like you would any dice. And then I like to sort of orient mine a certain way, read mine a certain way. You don't have to do it this way, but it's just the way that I like to do it. So I like to put the house first. So there we have the seventh house if we were asking a question. Then we have Neptune for our heavenly body die. And then we have Pisces for our zodiac sign dice. Die, I should say. Singular. English, I can, word things properly. So if we were looking at this, let's just say we were doing a week ahead. Well, we've got the seventh house, which represents close personal or business partnerships. So this could be about contracts, rivalries. It could be someone that you already have a relationship, or it could be someone that is coming into your life. And then we have Neptune, which is about mysticism, dreams, intuition, psychic abilities, imaginations, things like that. So this could be someone that's, coming in. It could be maybe you're going to have a partnership with a new reader for you. Or maybe you're going to have an intuitive hit about someone that you should or should not enter into a partnership with during this, say, week ahead. And then we've got Pisces, which is passion, compassion, but it can also be escapism. It could represent a person in your life who's acting dishonestly. So if I was looking at this, saying the week ahead, I would say trust your intuition about people that want to have partnerships with you of any kind, be that friendships, be that a business partnership, be that a family relationship, because there's likely to be somebody who's not being forthcoming. So trust your intuition when it comes to any partnerships this week, because somebody is not laying all their cards out on the table. And that's one way that you could interpret it. Just one way. Like I said, you can ask a specific question and then interpret it in regards to that question. You can maybe, have some cards on the table for a tarot spread and just roll these to add some extra information into the reading and interpret them in the context of the reading you're doing. Or you can do like we just did and do a general week ahead, month ahead, what have you. They're really fun. I do love using these. I think they add a nice touch to things. I like to use them a lot, like I said, either as a month ahead, a week ahead, or as additional information in a different type of reading. Alright, so the last method I'm going to show you today is what I call lists and tables. For this, you will need 1 to 2 sets of RPG polyhedral dice. There's 7 dice in a set. You probably won't use all of these, but they are nice to have, and then the reason you need to have 2 is for when we're doing tables. But let's just say you're doing a list, and we're going to focus on just crystals. Let's say that you're trying to manifest something, and you want to know what crystal would be the most advantageous for you to wear, have around you, or to use. If you're doing a spell jar or something, you want to know what crystal would be most advantageous for you. Now, you can obviously just look up the properties of crystals and pick the crystal that goes with that property. But sometimes there's a piece of the pie that we aren't seeing, or there's other supportive energies that maybe don't directly correlate to what we're trying to manifest, but because of our lives and our energies and what's going on with us, maybe this other crystal that seems completely unrelated would really benefit in our manifestation process, would really benefit from it. So let's just say that you are wanting to pick a crystal that will support your manifestation efforts, right? So you can do it one of 2 ways. You can make a list. Let's just say you have 4 crystals that it's one of these crystals, but you're not sure which. So you've got 4 crystals. So you'll write them in a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, number them, and then you'll take a D4, which is just a 4-sided die, and you'll roll it. And then it came up as 2, so whatever one you have as number 2 is the one that you would use. Now, if you want to do a table, and I'm going to try to show this, but I don't know how well it will show up on camera here. So this is from my PDF, And this is the table that I have for crystals. And so you can see I have 4 crystals by 4 crystals, this whole table. So if you want to pick from this table to find the crystal that will be right for you, let's move that aside because that really does look absolutely horrible on camera, but it is what it is. You'll take 2d4, and I like to designate my colors beforehand. So purple is the numbers across the top, and then blue is the numbers down the side. And you'll roll them both. Okay, so we got 3 and 3. So in this particular case, that would mean moonstone is the stone that would support our efforts. According to my table, you can put the stones anywhere you like on your table. Again, we've got 4 and 3. So 4 and 3 gives us fluorite as the stone that would support our efforts. Now you can make your tables any size. This one just happens to be 4 by 4. I do a lot of 4 by 4 tables. When I do the animal spirit that can support whatever it is you're working on, I use a 6 by 6 table. So in that case, I grab 2d6. Again, let's do purple across the top, blue down the side. And purple is 3 and blue is 2. So for that, we got the crow would be the animal spirit that can support whatever it is we're asking about or working on. So you just make up a table however you want, how many ever columns you want. You just have to have the numbers have to equate to the dice that we have. So you could have 4 by 4, 6 by 6, 8 by 8, 10 by 10, 12 by 12, or if you've really got a lot of things that you want, like you want every crystal known to man in your chart, you could have 20 by 20 and use 2d20 to do your table. But again, with these, you can do a list, you can do a table. I have a month ahead, or you could do it as a week ahead even, that I like to do where I come up with several different things that can support a person through the week. One of the things I do is I get a theme for the week by picking a major arcana card, but instead of actually drawing a card, I use only 20 out of the 22 cards, and I have them equated to the 20 sides of the d20, and so I'll roll a d20 and then pick which card equates to that. So you could do that. If you wanted to pick a card, like say you wanted a particular suit or an element. So if you wanted a suit from the tarot, you could roll a d4. You would assign a suit to each one of the numbers first, and then whatever one it showed up as, that would be the suit that's relevant to whatever you're doing, be it answering a question, or asking, what sort of energy is present. If you got pentacles, then earth energy is present. It's slow moving things concerned with finances or health. You could also just do the 4 elements, assign them 1 through 4, and then roll a d4 and see what element would support whatever it is that you are working on. The possibilities are really endless. Some of the things that I do a lot of the time would be the animal spirit, a color that will support your working or your manifestation efforts, herbs and plants, crystals. The possibilities are really endless. I do not work with angels, but I have seen people make angel tables and roll the dice to see what angel corresponds to what they're doing. The possibilities are just absolutely endless. It's only limited by your own imagination and creativity, but it's really just as simple as making a list, corresponding that list to a die, rolling the die, and then choosing whatever was corresponding to what the die landed on. And the same thing really with the tables. So I hope that you have found this helpful. I hope that this has shown you some ways that you can use dice in your divination practice. And if you have any questions, be sure to leave them down in the comments, because I am always happy to answer those and to hear from all of you. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. If you have not already, please subscribe, because that helps me out so much more than you know. And until I see you in the next video, blessings to you wherever your journey finds you.